at 9:35 a.m. Assistant City Manager, are there any agenda modifications?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, we have a speaker on item 5.01. We suggest that you pull that and make that item 6.02 to allow the speaker to speak at the time that item's being considered.
Okay. Any objections to that, board members? Okay, no objections. We will make that one modification to the agenda. That brings us to item number 3.01, a presentation and update by Mr. Eric Johnson, the Citizen Advisory Committee Chairperson. Is Ms. Johnson here?
I know he did have a comment he wanted to make, but...
Okay. If he comes, we'll see if we can come back to that item. Okay. If there are speakers, well, first of all, let me mind my manners and thank you all for coming this morning. We had a long night last night, so I'm still a little groggy. But thank you all for being here this morning and attending this morning's meeting. And if there are speakers, if we could get you to complete a speaker form, you'll have 3 opportunities to address the board in our next agenda item, public comments on agenda items. We do have 1 speaker already scheduled to speak on an item on the agenda that was pulled from consent, and then also you'll have an opportunity at item number 7 to speak on unagended items and board discussions. 3 opportunities for you to speak, but we do ask that you complete a speaker form prior to that. All right. So do we have any speakers?
We do. The first speaker that I have is Mr. Kurt Bender on agenda number 501. Mr. Bender, if you would come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Okay, now we have pulled that item from consent. So would you be okay with speaking? You want to speak now and on the item itself?
Good morning, Commission. Whatever is most convenient to the Commission, I could be more than happy to speak on 6.01.
Well, it would be item 6.02 now because we pulled it off of consent.
That is fine with me.
Okay, all right. We should be getting to it very shortly, I think. Any other speakers?
Thank you. On unagended items, but not on agended items.
Okay, all right. So that brings us to consent items. Item number 5. Is there consent for you, Mr. Chairman? Okay. There's a motion by the mayor.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Matlow to approve the consent items. Are there any questions, comments? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. That brings us to item 6.01, authorization to notice intent to lease CRA-owned public parking spaces. Mr. Assistant City Manager.
We'll let Roxanne introduce this item.
Okay.
Okay.
Ms. Manning.
Commissioners, as you'll recall, when the deck and block were constructed on Gain Street, one of the things that the CRA did was purchase and construct public parking spaces. Many of those spaces are used to support the retail uses, and we also are able to lease those out to the small businesses so that they have places for their employees to park. We were recently contacted by District Joint Ventures to inquire about leasing 20 more spaces, 10 at the deck, 10 at the block. In order for us to do that, statutorily we are required to put out an RFP, or request for proposals, and we need your permission to move forward with that. If we're going to lease or purchase or sell any property, or not purchase, we have to put out this request. And basically what we would do is essentially say, we're considering the lease of these parking spaces and look for proposals. So basically all we need is your permission to move forward.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Motion by the mayor, seconded by Commissioner Williams-Cox. The only question I had, Roxanne, what revenue do we anticipate from the lease of these parking spaces?
What we'll do is we'll look at the proposals that come in, and we're going to work with the city and look at the kind of revenue and the rates that they use in that district.
Okay.
and we'll know when we come back to you. If no matter what we get in terms of proposals, we'll bring it back to you, we'll explain the criteria, we'll talk about proposed rates, and then you would make a decision moving from there.
Okay, and then that revenue goes into our general fund?
Into the CRA general fund,
Right,
yes, sir.
right.
And it's not time limited, so that's a really good thing.
Right. Okay. Any other questions?
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Matlow?
Yeah, thank you for the item, and I think you mentioned in here determining kind of the market rate for that area. I think we kind of need to look at that across the city because we've seen a bunch of different rates. We've seen the current $50 rate that's being charged there. I think we're charging $90 downtown, and we had a proposal for Midtown that was $110 for a monthly space. So it seems like we're kind of all over the map, so I think it would be a good time to take the opportunity to really figure out what market rate parking should go for and making sure we're maximizing what we're getting for it.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. That brings us to item 6.02, approval of the fiscal year 2019 Downtown District Large Event Grant Awards and an update on the fiscal year 2019 promotional and special events, the small event grants. Mr. Assistant City Manager?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, would you like the presentation first? Or
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
Roxanne, won't you lead on the presentation, then we'll hear from the speaker.
Okay, I'm going to ask Sherry Curtis, who's in charge of that process, to make the presentation.
Thank you, Sherry.
Good morning, Commissioners and Mayor. Item 6.02 is the approval of the fiscal year 19 Downtown Large Event Grant Awards and an update on the Downtown Promotional and Special Event approved by the CRA Executive Director. In December of 2018, the board allocated $55,000 for downtown large events and $20,000 for downtown small events. The application cycle opened on January 7th and closed on January 29th. 4 large event applications were received, along with 6 small event applications. And these applications were received timely by the 4:30 p.m. January 29th deadline. We have an evaluation committee that scored and ranked the applications as outlined in your attachments 1 and 2. The evaluation committee consisted of 3 downtown redevelopment commissioners for our DRC committee. All 4 large applications were recommended for funding, and this included Lemoyne, Southern Shakespeare, Word of South, and Springtime Tallahassee. They were all recommended for funding based on the amount that they were not recommended for funding based on the amount they requested, but was recommended based on their scores. For small events, the evaluation committee recommended 5 of the 6 applications being funded at the amount that they requested. The 6th event was not recommended for funding because 100% of their budget was provided by the CRA grant. So right now we're asking to approve the Downtown Large Event Grant Awards recommended by the Evaluation Committee and authorize the CRA Director to enter into agreements for approved organizations. The recommended funding for the small events would leave a balance of $950,000. However, on your December meeting, the CRA Board authorized the Executive Director of the CRA to approve the Small Event Grant Awards. So with this, if you have any questions, I'm here to answer.
Okay. Members, any questions? Could you tell us who the small event?
Yes, sir. The Small Event Grant awardees were Capital City Kiwanis Club for their Firecracker 5K mile, the Asian Coalition of Tallahassee for Experience Asia, Friends of the Museum of Florida History for the Emancipation Celebration, the Riley Center and Museum for the Smoky Hollow Reunion and Festival, Hang Tough Foundations for their Cascades Goes Gold, and Downtown Business Association, the Downtown Food Festival. That was the only application that was not recommended for funding.
Okay. And I applaud you all and the committee for the diversity of the organizations that we're funding. I think that reflects our community, and that's what we strive for. Commissioner Williams-Cox?
I join you in that, but I also want to, for next year, I'm going to help do a better job of getting the word out, especially about the large events, because when I look at the large events that are being funded, there's still not enough diversity there, and so we need to do a better job. When I say we, the community, we need to do a better job of recognizing these opportunities for fundings for events so that we don't have to ticket ourselves to death buying tickets for things when you can actually come and make an application and get some money to really have an impactful event. I will help in that regard to get the information out next year to make sure that we have more diversity in the larger events. And even in the smaller events, only the folks who know to do this, I see, are listed here. So it is a diverse group, but we're going to do even more next year. But thank you all for what you've done. The community needs to now join you in this effort to ask for the money.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Bryant?
Yes, let me just follow up on Commissioner Williams-Cox. How is this advertised to the community?
We've actually put it on our webpage. We also put a news article in the newspaper advertising it in the Tallahassee Democrat, and then we also we put one in the Capital Outlook, and then we also do a email blast to the prior applicants that have filed with us in the past, and hopefully we are asking them to put that notice out to people that may be interested as well.
Okay, I will recommend that maybe we can help with that distribution list. Especially in minority communities, because churches are great places for advertisement on things such as that.
Okay. Commissioner Williams-Cox?
And also, we've come up with a new way of getting into the community. We're doing what we call pop-ups, right, City Manager? So this would also be another opportunity to do some pop-ups in some of the, where people are gathered to help folks. Because everybody doesn't read the newspaper, everybody doesn't, watch the news, everybody's not online, to be able to go to the internet to get this information. So yeah, we will work together to find additional avenues to get the word on the street that we're here, we have available resources. Please ask for them or apply for them at least. Because I understand you can't do anything if they don't apply.
Yes, ma'am.
So we've got to let them know that there's an application process.
Roxanne?
That is a great idea. And actually, if we're going to do that, we'd like to add some of our other programs to that, because we could advertise the small business facility improvement grants that way, and possibly the housing fund. So we're really excited about that idea.
That's great.
And Commissioners, that's one of the things that I know I have talked about in the past, that we probably have not, we even need to get some student volunteers to walk the streets, especially with our business owners, to let them know. We have not done, I don't think, the job that we could have done, and I appreciate the ideas that you all are offering here this morning, because we do need to get this information out to more of the community, not just the African American community. There's a huge Indian community here in Tallahassee. The Asian Coalition obviously has come to know about what we're doing and are taking advantage of it. But we do need to do a better job of getting the word out about all of the opportunities that are available through the CRA. So whatever ideas you all have, let's make sure we get them to the Assistant City Manager and staff so that we can do a better job of getting the word out and get more applicants. Thank you so much for that. We do have a speaker on this item. We'll ask him if he would come up.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bender. Your name and address for the record, please. And you'll have
Pleasure. Thank you, Commission. Kurt Bender, CURT, BENDER, at 2315 Unit C, Columbia Court, 32304. I'm here to speak about the events grant. So first and foremost, I would like to thank Ms. Curtis as well as Ms. Williams. I had an issue, and that's why I originally came to come here. Regarding that issue is that the grant application was for fiscal year 2019, was open from early January to close of January. And that ended, I believe, at the end of September. And for any event, a particular event in mind is happening in November. And the issue became that there was a dead period, that the only application would be next year around January. So anyone in the beginning of fiscal year 2020 would have lost the opportunity to receive funding from the city from what myself and other individuals be to be believed to be a significant city event that furthers the mission of the Development Authority. But through the thankful help again of Ms. Curtis and meeting Ms. Williams, I found out that you all are in the process of receiving funding for fiscal year 2020 to have those grants, and that will be made available sometime in perhaps May or July, so that in an event occurring in November 2019, fiscal year 2020, we'll have that opportunity. So I had already scheduled and I already requested the time off from work to come here. So I decided to come here and address you all and to say that there are individuals and organizations that are looking forward to the 2020 grants. And I heard that you all are seeking volunteers. I have some great suggestions on how to get the word out, because I was completely shocked that this amazing opportunity was here. But I do believe that I will take it on my own error that I didn't go out and seek it. So I do want to state on the record that Ms. Curtis and Ms. Williams, they did a terrific job.
Yeah, they're wonderful staff. We have an excellent staff. So.
And that is it. Thank you all for listening.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we're glad that you were able to work with staff and get that corrected and get the information that you needed, because we certainly want you to participate if you're eligible for the funding.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Do we need to give you an excuse or anything for work? All right. Is there a motion on the item? 6.02, moved by the mayor.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Williams-Cox. Any further questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. That brings us to item number 7, unagended items. Do we have a speaker for unagended items?
Thus far, I have 4 speaker cards.
Okay.
Sylvia Hubbard, Stanley Sims, Dr. Hollyfield, and Miss Rayback. So, Ms. Hubbard, if you would, you can come to the podium. You'll have 3 minutes, please. Your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Sylvia Hubbard, 311 Gale Avenue. Good morning, Commissioners, CRA Board.
Good morning.
I come today to just keep reminding you that you work for the community and that you're elected officials. I was at the meeting last night that lasted forever, and I was glad to see that Commissioner Richardson's suggestion of hearing the public. It's so sad that they didn't listen to the public when they awarded $1.5 million to CarePoint. Roxanne told us to go ahead and get over that, enjoy that building. However, I'm one of those persons that can't enjoy that building. If I step foot on the ground, I've been told I'll be arrested. And I am wondering how former commissioners would approve $1.5 million where the CRA staff, I guess, joined with CarePoint to sabotage the land that was supposed to go back to the CRA by putting language in it that devalues the property. And I guess I'm coming today to say, as new elected officials, that you probably need to look at that to figure out what can you do to change that language. That property was supposed to have been given back to the CRA. I'm not sure if it did. If it did, there's language in there that where you cannot even get the value of the land because of the language that was placed in that land deal that was supposed to go back to the CRA. So I'm just telling you, it's on page 5 of a 10-page document that I think Rick McGraw wrote up and presented. And evidently the people, the former CRA members, did not read, or else they would see that the CarePoint staff has sabotaged the land before handing it back over to the CRA. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hubbard.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Williams-Cox.
I have a question in regards to Ms. Hubbard's mention of those lots. Have we received those lots back yet?
Yes, we have. That's been closed on.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Our next speaker, Mr. Stanley Sims. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you this morning.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Good to be seen, as they
Amen.
say.
I want to say this morning, y'all pray for me because
Yes, sir.
I ain't feeling too hot.
Uh-oh.
But I'm struggling for words here. Well, let me start at a good place. Maybe it'll settle me down. It does my heart good, Commissioner, when I was over on the south side. I think it was about between 6:30 and 7. It was a little dawn. Mm-hmm. And I saw this black cave on Texas Street, pulled over to the side, strolling down the road. And it makes my heart feel good. And when I see Commissioner put 5 on it, still talking to people in Winn-Dixie, groceries out there by our car, and she got 3 constituents talking to her. Makes me feel good. Even though I work like a dog to defeat Jerry Madlow. Gave it everything I had. And he won, and he treats me with respect. I'm humbled by that. So let me apologize to you, Mayor, for keeping you waiting, for not washing your car for 3 hours. Let me apologize for the morning that I was supposed to come and see you. Because of this stroke, I fell. My clothes was all dirty. And I couldn't, but I did call and tell your person what happened. So I got about another minute. I'm tired of my brothers dying. I'm tired of these kids dying. I'm tired of black children dying. And I'm tired of going to meetings talking about how beautiful it is in Tallahassee. Because everybody don't see it. And I got everybody working with me. And I'm a hard person to work with. I understand that because I speak truth to power. And I'm tired of people telling me to go start a GoFundMe page with the poorest people in Tallahassee. Let me give you an example. My kids, Miss Bryant, they went to Roberts Elementary because I bought a little acre of land on Mickasicka Road and put a single-wide trailer in there so that
Mr.
my
Sims,
kids,
you have 30 seconds left.
so that my kids could go to good schools. The PTA at Roberts Elementary, we raised $100,000 to put Promethean boards in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade classes. At NIMS, they're good if they can raise $5,000. So don't tell me to go to a GoFundMe page to save these kids.
Thank you, Mr. Sims. Our next speaker.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Dr. Hollyfield. Please, your name and address for the record, sir. 3 minutes.
Good morning, Dr. Hollifield.
Good morning. I think that the purpose of local government is just to wear people down. Because you throw so much madness out there that it's almost impossible to address every issue. last night, even broadband. I mean, how could y'all be against a feasibility study for broadband? That makes no sense. If you look at Europe, you've been over to Europe, Mayor Daley. They are miles ahead of this town in terms of broadband, high-speed internet. You would think we were a third world country. Leon County, third world country. I guess for Trump it would be a shithole country. But, you know, we're just backwards. We got millions to give to North American properties, and that Washington Square monstrosity just gonna make a few people rich. That's the purpose of city government, local government, to give people who have money more money. That's the whole purpose of the CRA. And this monstrosity known as Big Ben Cares, that money should be taken back because they have not fulfilled that development agreement. Yeah, first thing, y'all need to read the damn development agreement. It has a non-discrimination clause in there. You know that, Curtis? Have you read it? If you read that damn development agreement, you will see a non-discrimination clause in it, item 16. So why if Sylvia Hubbard goes down there, they can put her in jail? You know, they can put me in jail, but I won't get into that. If you protest, they take your picture, and they send it everywhere. I found a picture of mine in the files of the Leon County Health Department, protesting Big Ben Cares. And I have to go to the health department to renew my license, Curtis. That's the kind of madness that goes on. It's Jeffrey Pope. Big Ben Cares found guilty of defamation in federal court. Unanimous guilty. Verdict, guilty. And they still get the money, $1.5 million. Let a black organization be found guilty of defamation regarding one of his own clients, and you sit around and see if Roxanne will give them $1.5 million.
Dr. Hollifield, you have 30 seconds
That's
left.
the double standard. I want another minute. So there is a double standard. And Tallahassee, one of the 10 best cities to live in? Well, I agree, it is. One of the 10 best. Curtis, you're probably shocked. I agree. It's one of the 10 best cities to live in if you're rich and if you're white and if you got health insurance. If you ain't one of them 47,000 people, at least with no health insurance.
Dr. Hollifield, would you begin to wrap up, please?
I think y'all need to revisit your priorities. Springtime Tallahassee doesn't deserve a dime. It's an insult to Native Americans. You know, it's a racist parade with insult to the Native Americans. And y'all need to look into the sabotage of the black community by all these restrictions. You return that property to the Frenchtown CRA, and we can't even put a retail pharmacy on it because of all those restrictions built in.
Would you begin to wrap up?
I asked the auditor about it.
Dr. Hollifield.
And he responded by leaving.
Dr. Hollifield.
So y'all need to look into the sabotage of the CRA property and so far as the Frenchtown CRA is concerned.
Okay. Thank you. Our next speaker.
Thank you. Our next speaker I have is Ms. Rachel. Your name and address for the record, please, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Good morning.
Rachel Reichenbach, 703 North Gadsden Street, 32303. My name is Rachel Reichenbach, and I'm here this morning representing a new community group in Tallahassee called Rooted in Relationship, a Tallahassee Good Food Collective.
I didn't hear that. Could you tell me?
Sure. Rooted in
Rooted
in relationship.
Okay.
A Tallahassee Good Food Collective.
Okay.
We are partnering on April 17th with Pastor Eric Johnson of Greater Love Church of God in Christ to offer a racial wealth gap simulation exercise.
Okay.
The simulation is an interactive tool that helps people understand the connections among racial equity, hunger, poverty, and wealth. It's a good first step for people unaware of structural inequity, a support tool for those who want a deeper understanding of structural inequality, and a source of information for experts who want to know the quantifiable economic impact of each policy that has widened today's racial, hunger, income, and wealth divides. We'll be hosting Florence French, who's the Florida regional organizer for Bread for the World, who will be facilitating the simulation at Greater Love Church on the evening of April 17th from 6 to 9 p.m. Bread for the World is a Christian anti-hunger advocacy organization that urges our nation's decision makers to end hunger at home and abroad. Rooted in Relationship is a good food collaborative that holds sustainability and justice among our core values. We believe that systemic racism is central to the wide and deep injustice that is experienced by so many people in our food system and our society at large. Deepening our understanding of the real-life impacts of structural inequality is an important first step to furthering justice and equity in our local food system and our city at large. We welcome all community members to participate in the simulation and hope to see many of you at this important learning opportunity on April 17th.
Okay. What was the date again?
April 17th from 6 to 9 p.m. at Greater Love Church of God.
And that's on Orange Avenue?
Yes.
Okay.
Will you send us that information?
I was gonna
Yes,
say,
yeah.
please do.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you to all the speakers that have come this morning. Is there anything from board members? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move.
We're
Second.
adjourned. Moved and seconded. We're adjourned.
But adjourn.
Hey,
I wasn't going to say anything.